Hey there everybody, Mazrock here, and today we're going to be talking Brewmaster in 10.1.5. Especially, we're going to be with a heavy focus on the new passive talent options that were kind of designed and implemented to relieve button bloat. Before we do get into it though, please do like, comment, subscribe. It goes such a long way towards helping out the channel. There's a Discord link down below, a Patreon link down below, where there's early access, exclusive stuff, coaching opportunities, bunch of good stuff there. There's a Discord link and a Twitch link as well as a merch link for a bunch of cool stuff. So, with that, let's get into Brewmaster. So specifically, we're going to be talking about 3 new talent node options. One is the new Diffuse Magic and the Yu'lon's Grace. So, Yu'lon's Grace, the new passive option, is you find resilience in the flow of chi in battle, gaining a magic absorb shield for 2% of your max health every 2 seconds while in combat, stacking up to 10%. Now, when you're comparing both apples to apples, Diffuse Magic is better. The things you can do with Diffuse Magic is obviously better, and having a 60% magic DR on a 1.5 minute cooldown is incredibly powerful. Then we also have the option with Dampen Harm. So Dampen Harm is a 20 to 50% full DR on a 2-minute cooldown, depending on how hard the hit is. And the passive is your dodge chance is increased by 10%. Passively, you just fully get this, not a problem. Again, Dampen Harm, Diffuse Magic, same thing. These are 2 buttons that you should be prioritizing in combat, and all around the better options. But if you are learning the spec and you find that it just has too many buttons and you're just never pressing them anyway, use the passive options. At least you're getting something out of them while you're still learning to work your way up with the spec and learn the rotation and get used to all of the buttons that there are, because, you know, there's quite a bit more with Brewmaster than some of the other tanks, right? It's better to have this magic shield than never hit Diffuse Magic. It's better to have passive 10% dodge than to never hit Dampen Harm, which you should be pressing, but there is a learning curve to Brewmaster, right? And having to get there can take some time. So these are things, again, up to you. Use them as you will. The big one here is Press the Advantage and Weapons of Order. So, by swapping to Press the Advantage, not only do you eliminate one button with Tiger Palm, but you eliminate the second with Weapons of Order, but you also eliminate the second with Tiger Palm, right? Because those 2 buttons are just going to be replaced by the one passive ability. Now, Press the Advantage, your main hand auto attacks reduce the cooldown of your brews by 0.5 seconds and block your target's chi, dealing additional nature damage and increasing the damage dealt by 1% over 20 seconds, sorry. Upon reaching 10 stacks, your next cast of Rising Sun Kick or Keg Smash consumes all stacks to strike again at 100% effectiveness. This bonus attack can trigger effects on behalf of Tiger Palm at reduced effectiveness. So what this does is this gives you a ramping buff, damage buff, that you're going to have pretty much at all times in combat, from 1 to 10%. Now, there still is ramp with this. Now, the big thing that makes Weapons of Order incredibly strong is the 32% increased damage that you get while they have 4 stacks of the Keg Smash debuff, which you can fully ramp into a Necrotic Bone Dust Brew and an Exploding Keg for big damage moments, but you really have to nail that ramp. And in smaller keys, it can be difficult to do if you have real big blasters. I know sometimes if I'm in a 17, which, I mean, you know, to some that's big, some that's small, whatever. Sometimes if my if I have DPS that are all like 150k, 140k, you know, blasters, unless I'm pulling the moon and the sun and everything in the dungeon, half the time, by the time this ramp is done, most of the pack is dead and I can't do a whole lot. Right? But if, you know, if you've got, let's say, some crappier DPS with you, or some DPS that are not as good, it's easier to pull this off. And the higher the key level, the easier it is to pull off this ramp, because things just naturally live longer, right? It's obviously easier for me to do this in a Fortified week than it is a Tyrannical week with those same blasters. Press the Advantage eliminates that, but there still is ramp. So what you want to be doing is around 7 to 8 stacks of the Press the Advantage that you have, and you're going to want to be tracking this as well, is to start up, make sure that you have your full charred passions, Flame Breath debuff going. You want to make sure that you've got all of your things in order with Necrotic, with Bone Dust Brew and Exploding Keg. And then right when you hit a 10, like you kind of, at 10 stacks is when you want to kind of be hitting that Exploding Keg. You do a big smash, then you keg smash, and you get that really big bonus out of it. Honestly, as a passive option, I think they nailed the mark on this. Statistically speaking, when played correctly, it's not as good as Weapons of Order, but it is a lot less complicated for you to do better damage. Okay, so if you're looking at this and you're wondering if you should play it, ask yourself, do you nail the Weapons of Order ramp every 2 minutes, or are you finding it go to waste? If you're finding it going to waste, you're going to get Press the Advantage a lot more often. You're going to get straight up get a 1 to 10% damage increase at all times. You know, varying depending on how many stacks you have, but they go up quick. The stacks go up very, very quick, and this eliminates the button bloat along the way. I really, really like this, and I found that especially for me in streaming, I can look at chat a lot more, and I don't have to worry. You know, this just eliminates buttons that I don't have to be pressing or worrying about, which is actually very, very nice. I think this is going to be the play for most people. Press the Advantage, I think, is going to be the better play for most people, and in the right hands, in the, you know, that Brewmaster main that loves every little aspect of this spec and only plays Brewmaster, or, you know, the people that play it at the highest level, I think Weapons of Order is probably going to be a little bit better, but this requires so much more attention to detail than Press the Advantage, which you know, there still are ramps to do, but the average Brewmaster is just going to get way more out of Press than they are weapons. By the way, if you are paying Press the Advantage, you're going to want to be using two one-handers, one weapon in each hand, because it's based on your main hand's auto attacks, and you auto attack faster when you have one-handers than when you have two-handers, right? So that's something that you're going to have to be inconsiderate about. If you want to keep your Dajarin, chances are you're going to want to be staying with Weapons of Order. If you're running two one-handers like I am, and you haven't really been lucky with Dajarin, but you're also not really super farming raid for it, and you got two good weapons, like I got a 447 Forge Storm, I'm happy, right? I'm running Press the Advantage, and I'm having a good time with it. So, those are the kind of the little nitty-gritties. We've been running some keys this week on Brew, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm a really big fan of Press the Advantage. I like what they did here, and I think that they nailed the balance pretty good. I did try the Chi Surge as well, and the damage was not great. Not great. I was hoping that the Chi Surge with Press the Advantage would be worth it. For a capstone level talent thing, it is, it is just not. So this is the build that I've been running here with some flexibilities depending on, you know, whatever I need of that. Another big thing to note here as well is they did swap the Counter-Strike and Facepalm, so you can easily get Counter-Strike without having to get Facepalm. Anyway, that's it for Brewmaster. Have yourself a good one, everyone. Happy tanking.